I think you ought to know. Top Men's Radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's Men's Radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's Radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
By Jove, Mrs. By Jove, Mrs. Who did that? Who used to do that?
Ken Dodd.
Oh,
Can't
Ken
tell you how
Dodd.
tickled I am.
Oh, you loved Ken. You loved Ken Dodd, didn't you? Absolutely loved Ken Dodd.
It's true. As a bit of a fanboy.
No, I don't normally. Hi, first, how rude. How are you? How are you, Phil Dave, in an anonymous building on the 17th floor? How are you?
I am all right, thank you, Russ Kane, and I trust you are well as well.
Well, actually, my back's gone again. I don't know why. My back has just decided to go. And so
lovely Demeter has rightly pointed out
that
it's quite difficult to see me in the shadows.
Well, that's why I liked it.
Move around.
You look like one of these sort of...
You
wanted to remain anonymous. When did you first get addicted to cheddar slices? That'd be one of those things. Channel 4 investigate.
You know what?
Well, that's so much better. We can see you. We kind of see you now. Yeah.
My name's Phil Dave, and I like tuna sandwiches.
Oh, God, are you eating? Yeah, nothing like watching you eat, for the love of God. While you're doing that, I am going to try this.
It's a working lunch.
Yeah, no, it's a working lunch for you. Here we go.
You're listening to The Daily Show.
The Daily Show?
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
On Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
With Russ Kane.
There you go.
I think that the and Phil Dave was forgotten there, but it's quite all right. We'll live with it.
No, because it goes out on a Monday and Tuesday as well. I might have another version made with. But you see, we've already got the fabulous Ray Gelato singing. So we're going to whip through some of these comments now, and then I want to talk about my back because it's killing me. Hello, Russ and Phil, says Robert Van Buren, horologist to the stars. Leslie Demeter, Phil, why are you sitting in the shadow? Because Hank Marvin's there. That's why. David Green.
It's funny you say that, actually, because I am Hank Marvin. So.
Oh, there you go. Why don't you just eat? I tell you what, I'm going to go through the comments and you can just eat. Good afternoon, gentlemen, from a snowy and sunny County Durham. I can't do this. Oh my gosh. We are honored. We're not worthy. Todd Sharpville, rock star extraordinaire. Hi, Todd. So glad you're here. Hello, chaps. Leslie Demeter, ever the critic. Much better, Phil, although you need to sit still. Fish breath.
That's charming, that is. All I ever do is refer to you as lovely Demeter, and you've just called me fish breath.
That's the one. Yeah, well, no, you're just fish breath. Kimi Lashmar. Hiya, can I just say...
Gary Lineker gets on my nerves.
Right,
I think that's something we can all relate to.
Oh, hang on. Well, we got to do this. Hang on, we got to do this one. In that case, he's coming from Spain. I've lost it now. Where's my thing? I had a new thing.
All this year I'm off to
sunny
Spain. Viva España.
Don't mind me. I'll save the show.
Fish breath. Where were we? Then we have got Lisa James. Yum yum tuna. I like it with sweet corn.
Well, you're in luck, Lisa.
Oh, jeez.
Exactly what I am snacking on. There you go. It's
good.
Good.
Because I have the professionalism amongst the two of us.
Really?
Merely have a...
Where have you been hiding it?
I've been hiding it since 1984. If it's any consolation, says Ian, for my back's gone as well. Brothers in pain. Ah, here we go. Oh, look. Thank you, Emma Webb. You're my favorite person called Emma Webb. Hello all. Happy Friday. Loving the new jingle. It rocks. Well, I got a whole new... we see Emma Webb. Fish breath. Yuck.
Lovely. Can we
Yeah.
clarify something, please? Okay.
Yeah.
I do know how to cleanse the mouth after
How are you
I've
going to
eaten
do that?
something.
You're going to gargle live on it.
I can gargle live on air if you'd like me to. Hey, you want to
My
be
mum's
grateful
cousin.
that this is done now, so like a separate, is in separate locations. Could you imagine? You might have to tolerate me eating tuna if I was sat next to you.
Oh, jeez. No, I hate that. And then you'd be talking to me and then bits of freaking tuna's going to come over the desk.
Oh, we've all got, no, don't we all have those people in our lives where you have to be really careful because otherwise if you're with them at lunch, there's bits of low-flying sandwich.
Yeah, apparently.
Absolutely horrendous.
Because why?
Really?
No, but here's the thing, right, Phil? Why is it when you're eating and somebody says, so Phil, basically, I've got the new TTK Desk 3005, but the third row with the thermonuclear button and and you got a mouthful. I thought, well,
yeah, I know. You have to sit 10 feet back, sit 10 feet back and wear a plastic Mac.
It's absolutely blooming ghastly. Paul Rossi, and you're back. I sympathise. Thanks, Em. And then we have got a Ramsey one. So, this see, you're getting patted on the back.
Ramsey is giving me permission to eat lunch. I'm so grateful. For once, Phil, it's okay to eat during this show as it's National Packed Lunch Day today.
Is it really? Is it?
Which website told you that, Ramsey?
It's the packed lunch website, R-Us. I don't normally get into the public arena if I can avoid it. A couple of things. I don't know if you've seen, Phil, the Chris Rock special. I wrote about it on Facebook and Twitter. I thought it was magnificent. And he says the things as a black guy that you and I as white boys cannot say. It was filmed live in a huge theater in Baltimore, went out live as well, all over the world. Massive hit. And the audience predominantly black, and he's saying stuff and they are loving it and they're getting it. And it's the stuff that we think and it's the stuff that we say. And he puts it in such a terrific, terrific way. He really does. Are you eating? What are you doing now? He's just, what's going on here? Ramsey says that, oh, God almighty, it's really driving me mad. It's also celebrate your middle name, Dave. Phil Holler Dave. National Middle Name Pride Day. Jeez. Ramsey, you're on more drugs than I am, and that's saying something. Hello, boys. Was a staunch royalist. Not anymore. Hope everyone oh no, shut up. No, Chrissy. Sorry, not having that. Not having that. No, Chrissy. No. Boo. Boo, Chrissy Richards. Boo. Communist. I love the coroner. I love all that stuff. It's great. Delicious, says Lisa James. I'm going to make one now. Well, it's bloody lucky he wasn't having beef bourguignon. Everybody would be gone for 25 minutes just preparing. Rosemary, what's she say? Rosemary lives in the middle of the countryside. I don't know where. Phil is still I can see him on my screen. He's chewing like a horse. But that is the only thing that he's hung like. Snow blizzard here, says Rosemary Jessup.
It's very important when eating that you chew properly because otherwise it doesn't aid digestion.
Yeah, but thanks for the timing anyway. I appreciate it.
Well, look, I think the one thing one needs to recognize is that there was a choice between me either having to say to you last minute I might not be able to do the show today, or having it as a working lunch. I thought you'd appreciate the latter.
What is Steph's? I don't know. I keep seems like people kind of Zedless is going, I'm on Steph's packed lunch. I've no idea what it is. I've never seen
Steph's
it.
packed lunch is a Channel 4 show. Channel 4 daytime show.
Anyway, Rosemary Jessup. Good boy. You look cozy. I am actually, because I'm wearing my little mini Schnauzer sweat top. My hoodie, my mini Schnauzer. Look, it's a little ebony. Little picture.
I've yet to find a Dandy Nimont sweater.
Well, we can keep looking. People are come on to your dog in a sec. People are talking with their mouths full. It's disgusting. Yeah, I particularly like it on the tube when you're sitting there, they're eating fast food, and you're getting your chips everywhere. Like, shut up. I'm not a fan of Chris Rock. Well, fair enough. Okay, but if he makes people laugh, that's a good thing. I had to stop. I had to watch it over 2 nights because I was laughing so hard. I had to keep pausing it because I was going, oh. I'm going to come on.
I confess I have not seen it.
All right.
But then again, having said that, I don't watch very much television.
You'll like great chunks of it. By the way, what do we got here? By the way, Says Ramsey. You still chewing or can you read?
By the way, did you all read the new succession line? Prince Harry is now 6th in line.
Good.
So we are now just a helicopter crash away from King Harold and Queen Meghan.
Oh, Christ.
Well, to be fair, to the best of my knowledge, he's been 6th in line for a while. So you've got it. The way it would work is, if heaven forbid there was a problem,
God forbid,
is it would be next in line is obviously Prince William, then it's Prince George, then Princess Charlotte, then Prince Louis.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah, and
I
then
didn't know that.
And then Prince Harry. So he's always been 6th in line.
So let me ask
they've
you
had
a
3
question.
children.
Let me ask you a serious question. You know, when you go to the doctors or you go to a blood test in the hospital, do they have the same thing at Buckingham Palace? And there's one of those machines, press to get your number, and you go up and you press it, you go, zzz, and it says
Monarch number 6, please.
Number 6. And then the woman comes out because nobody moves. Number 6. Number 6.
Could do, actually, really, is it? Can you imagine it now? You could actually picturise now, couldn't you? Monarch number 6. Please go to Buckingham Palace. So
Monarch number 6. No, then somebody, number 6. You here? It always gets me when I'm waiting for my blood tests, which are forever in the hospital, and it's like,
oh, are you one of those ones who they can't get blood from?
No. They can go to no, they can get blood from me very easy. It's fine, like a pin cushion. But it always amazes me. You're there for one thing, right? You're there to have your blood test or whatever it is. But let's just say it's blood test, right? So you've gone and taken your number, and then you're not watching. What do you think you're there for? It's not like a social event. Oh dear.
Oh, look who's broken out in sympathy.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I've got a sprain back. No idea how I got it, but I am in pain. Meds are lovely, by the way. Well, yeah, but be careful, Sen Monroe, because they're very, very addictive. I used this today, which is when we used to do the ABC of CBD. We did 103 shows, and then we decided to part company. But this is pain balm, a CBD pain balm. Wow, it's good. And I smell delightful. What have we got? Chrissy Richards. I'm going to put this up. It's Charles is pathetic for letting methane tell him what to do. He's not allowing Meghan.
I was going to say, apart from anything,
that's not true.
Might I suggest, Chrissy, the way I look at it is first and foremost, please, His Majesty. Let us not forget he is
His Majesty.
The monarch.
Let's have some courtesy to the king, please.
But first and foremost, I'd say His Majesty is probably utterly sick, however fed up the public are, of hardly a migraine. Can you imagine what His Majesty has to go through with them? The truth is, I reckon that he's got to a stage now where he probably just wants to shut her up, and who can blame him?
Well,
so
I believe go to Paris.
That probably.
Anyway,
I strongly believe that you will find that if they edged ever nearer to the throne, which I don't believe in our lifetime they ever will do, I just don't think it would happen. If they ever did, I strongly suspect that it would be dealt with accordingly. It's just to keep a lid on things. I'm sure of it. Because how could it make any other sense? Let us not forget that they have openly, absolutely lambasted the very institution that's made them.
That they're desperate to be part of, but they don't want to. But as long as it makes them money, they're happy. I don't even want to start. I'm in a good mood, and I don't want to get pissed off. By that gruesome dewsome. Right. This is for Julie Voice, who's not in Houston, Texas, but is somewhere a lot less glamorous. I need pain balm. It's the same for San Monroe. Let me just tell you what you do, gang. You go. I don't know why I'm plugging them. The Tincture Club. Or find Ollie Mammon on LinkedIn or something and say, you are a friend of mine and you listen to the show along with Phil and you want the pain balm. It's kind of like a deodorant stick, you know, like, can you see it? And you just literally rub it on.
I strongly suspect, though, if you used it as a deodorant accidentally, it would be quite uncomfortable.
Kite. That's what you'd be like, hey.
You'd find your arms would just float up in the
air. Your arms would just be going, the colors, man, they're beautiful, you know, they're really beautiful. They're up the road from me in Welling Garden City. Right, well, send, boy, off you go. I don't know if you can buy it from there. Anywho, the Tincture Club, or get hold of Ollie Mammon. You can find him on Facebook, you can find him on LinkedIn. He's still a pal of mine. The Tincture Club is not. Wasn't his fault. And just say you want the pain balm that you made for Russ's back. He'll know exactly what it is. He will make it up for you, and you just pay him and he'll send it off. And that's how you do it. Anyway, there you go. Ollie Mammon, Mammon. Very nice man. Very fond.
Like a woolly mammon.
Like the woolly mammon. And Ollie, as in Oliver Hardy. I don't normally get into this, but I want Phil's view. Because I actually have not. No. Let's be a little cautious.
Are you suggesting I don't know where the proverbial fence is?
Well, seeing as I'm the man who got blocked on Talk TV the other day, I had my image blanked out.
Oh dear. What happened?
Did you not know?
Did you have to be dumped?
No, they didn't dump me, but I don't know who the presenter was. I'd never heard of her, to be honest with you. And who was it? Our mutual chum, Johnny Seifert.
Oh.
Yeah. Move on quickly. Johnny, who I've known since he was a kid, more or less. You've known him even longer, but since he was a kid aspiring to be in radio, now he is. Johnny reached out and said, "Oh, do you want to do this show?" And it was a Saturday, so I knew I'd be back. So I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And the theme with the host, whose name I cannot. I'm so sorry.
Claudia
Liza, which sounds like a sort of early Tom Jones song. I don't know. This does.
Claudia Liza. She is a very nice person, though.
Why do you realize that you're the one for me? It'd be one of those.
You know as well as I do that there are some people in this industry who what you see on air is not necessarily what you get off air. And I have to tell you, with CL, she is what you see on air is what you get off air. She is absolutely lovely.
Oh, well, then I'm sorry to hear that. Anyway, so I thought that was going to be. I thought you were going to big her up.
No, I am. No, I am picking her up. She's lovely.
That was sarcasm, Phil.
Oh, I see.
But you've been hanging around Americans too long because they don't get irony or bronzery either. Good morning, Elizabeth Green in New York. Right, here's the thing.
They don't get irony and they don't get tea.
Well, they don't get. Do you want some tea?
They struggle with tea.
Do you want herb tea? Sorry, what? Herb? What do you mean herb? Why can't you pronounce the letter H? I do that in my.
Who knows?
I go, why can't you not? I'm sorry, I got a runny nose. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah. So they said, could you come on and discuss about rewriting Roald Dahl's books?
Yes.
So I said, sure, yeah. So I go on, and I'm talking, and suddenly my image goes blank, and the hostess starts apologizing, and I'm going, what's she apologizing for? What did I say? I haven't done this since 1984. I'm pretty aware of the rules of broadcasting. This is different. What Phil and I have got, we're uncensored unless we slander or libel somebody, but otherwise we can say what the hell we want. But if you're on Talk TV or the BBC, as I do, or what was I on 5 Live the other day, you've got broadcasting rules, and I would do that because I'm a guest. Obviously, I have respect for that.
Did you swear?
No, I didn't swear. I would never do that. I did say blah blah blah, dicking around.
Oh dear, Russell.
Well, is that considered terrible? And she started apologizing, and I thought, well, I didn't say F you.
No, that would probably be described as a category 3, which is not completely terrible, but we probably wouldn't encourage it.
She went into freaking meltdown.
Well, look,
anyway. I did not appreciate in these ridiculous Puritan bullshit Nazi times we live in that dicking around meant that I had to have my image blanked out and public. This is a daytime show. I must apologize to anyone who's going to be offended by that. If you're offended by that, Jesus, don't get out of bed in the morning.
She's only following procedure. I don't know.
I get it. I'm probably Johnny Seifert in her ear. Anyway, there we go. Moving on. Now, funny you said this. This is my.
Oh dear, no. This is not good.
No, this is what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
I see yesterday. Now, I'm always very cautious when someone has been accused of something of not rushing to their defense unless I know that person very well or I know the circumstances, because you end up like Jimmy Savile's best pal, who was running around every radio station. Oh, he's a great guy. You would have never done that. You've never heard from that bloke again.
Funny that.
Odd, isn't it? odd, pals of Gary Glitter and stuff. Anyway, Pat Sharp. I've been friends with Pat.
Luckily, his gang has dispersed now.
Yes, thank Christ. Although I'm a bit annoyed because Motley Crue is one of my favourite bands of all time. They're on their world tour. It's absolutely huge.
Oh.
John Five has now replaced Mick Mars. Mick Mars is too ill to tour because of his back. He's got spondylitis, where you get the curvature of the spine. He just can't tour. So
that was spina bifida, isn't it?
No, it's really bad. I mean, he's really in constant agony.
Now, look, I know where you're going to go with this, if I may. I've got I can anticipate. I think you're going to talk about possibly Gary Lineker versus Pat.
No, I'm not. No, I'm talking about Gary Lineker at all. I don't want to talk about Gary. I just want to talk about Pat for a sec.
I see. Okay. No. Sorry. What I was going to say, no, because that to me is the comparison.
We come on to that. Look, I just put my little tuppence worth in, and then you do the proper grown-up.
Absolutely.
You do the Big Boys Pants version.
That's right.
So I've known Pat.
I'll have a bite of my sandwich.
I've known Pat and Monica, his wife, for, I don't know, since we worked together in the 80s or whatever. We're friends. He's like the nicest guy on the planet. He's just a lovely, lovely guy. And as Phil was saying about somebody, Claudia Lisa, what you see is what you get. He's no different. He's just charming. Everyone in the industry loves Pat Sharp. He's just a lovely guy. So he makes a gag. I probably wouldn't have done it. Maybe I would have. It depends, how many Prosecco's I was in that night. But he made a silly gag. He's doing an award ceremony or something. He makes a gag. The woman gets incredibly offended. I mean, like crazy offended. And my view is the Chris Rock view. Words hurt. Yeah, if they're written on the side of a brick. And when people go, words hurt. Yeah, obviously you've never been punched in the face. So it was a mountain out of a molehill. So I thought, no, this is Pat. I like Pat. The same as I like Neil Fox. I knew that couldn't be true. We knew it couldn't be true. And it wasn't. Destroyed his livelihood, but it wasn't true. So on social media, I just did my support for Pat. Just what a lovely guy he was. Left it at that. I didn't allude to the issue. And I was flooded. Everybody support. Everybody, apart from two people. One, Sandy Waugh, who I was very polite with my reply. And Caroline Faraday out in LA, who was, wrote a more considered piece. Sandy was outraged. Jesus. And I've worked with Sandy forever. And then I got last night the most wonderful voicemail from Pat and Monica thanking me. And I didn't do it for thanks. I did it because I think we live in such disgusting Nazi times when the thought police and 1984 and George Orwell is everywhere, that it's time to show, if you're a friend of somebody, to show them your support. It's the decent thing to do. That's all I got to say on it. And so I just wanted to say, Pat's now Pop Bitch this week. Pop Bitch is the thing that I receive every week. It's brilliantly written by very, very smart people whom I know. I won't go into any more details. And they did a whole thing about Pop Bitch. And I wrote back to them because I know them well. And I said, guys, always agree with you. I love you, what you do, but lay off Pat because he's just a nice guy. Right. Your view, the grown-up one.
Very simple. I can understand why people have felt that they can say they're offended by something and then consequences have happened. Because let's be honest, it's the day and age in which we live. I'm not saying it's right. In fact, I hate it with an absolute passion. I hate it.
So you hate what? Let's just be clear.
I hate the fact that someone says, "Oh, I'm offended," and then bang, someone's just lost their career. Yeah. Like that, without the chance to apologize.
Ricky Gervais says,
without the chance to put it right, nothing.
Yeah,
just go.
As Ricky Gervais says, and I was watching a clip yesterday, not about this, it was an earlier clip. He says, you can't say, I am offended. What you can say is, I find that offensive. Fair enough. That's like, I don't like beetroot. That's me. I'm not going, beetroot's disgusting. We must ban beetroot. It's, I don't like beetroot. Doesn't mean the joke's offensive. It means you personally found it offensive. Not the same
I also
thing.
happen to have worked with Pat Sharp on a couple of occasions. And on those occasions I worked with him, I agree, one of the nicest guys you will ever stumble across in your life. as I said, what you see is what you get.
Yep.
So totally and utterly agree with you on that.
And
I would
anybody
say
less sexually threatening than Pat,
completely.
you could. I swear to God. I swear. Anybody. He's just charming. Anyway, go move
Absolutely. So I think that to anyone who is offended by him, it's kind of your problem, no one else's. I recognize that when we live in a world where someone has the ability to say I'm offended, they know that actions will more than likely be taken, and that's probably why actions were taken. I think they were wrong, personally. I think, in fact, it was pretty blooming foolish. At least give the guy a chance to apologize for any offense if he has apologized.
Well, he did apologize.
And retracted, which he did. That should be the end of the discussion, as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, it wasn't. And then, like I said, when you see it in stark contrast, Kimmy, you're right. He did apologize. I know, that's what I'm saying. Give him the chance to apologize. He's apologized. Move on. And blimey, if you really have to look as if you're taking action, send him on a course. Do you know what I mean? So do something that implies that you are taking some action against something that someone has said. But for goodness sake, to go the whole hog and just say, that's it, you're out, is pathetic, because it means you kowtow to the minority
of one, a minority of one person.
Absolutely. So if you also go one step further with this, and this is where my real bugbear lies, you look at someone like Gary Lineker this week, who genuinely has caused offense by comparing the government of today to the Nazis. That is highly offensive to anybody who lost family during the Holocaust. That is highly offensive to many different types of people. I know everyone associates the Holocaust with Jewish people, but you're wrong. Right, there were several types of individuals who were not, in the Nazis' eyes, deemed Aryan white, and as a result of it, they had to be killed. They had to go. So there are many different people
intellectuals,
who should easily be offended, by the actions of the Nazis. And to compare what the Tory government are doing with refugees to the Nazis is not only offensive, it is stupid and ignorant, completely and utterly. But above everything else, he's a BBC broadcaster who should be impartial and should not be airing his concerns. The fact that he is allowed to keep his job for whatever million pounds a year he is on, compared to someone as wonderful as Pat Sharp, is completely outrageous. I know they're two separate companies. I know the two separate companies have handled it in their own respective ways. The BBC is not really a shock, and Greatest Hits is a bit of a shock, if I'm honest with you. But
Greatest Hits is owned by Global, isn't it? Ashley Tabor's mob, isn't it? Global company. Greatest Hits.
I didn't know that. Maybe it is. But anyway, whatever it was.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
But whichever way it is very, very disappointing the way they have behaved and the way they have acted.
Well, it's the same with Neil. I mean, it's the same with Neil Fox. And one day when he's ready, we'll get him on.
Kimmy Lashmar has quite rightly pointed out it's Bauer.
It's Bauer. It is. Oh, well, Bauer have a bloody track record. Bauer were the people
were not here to answer for themselves.
Fired Neil Fox. He hadn't even been charged. And the moment
they just want to wash their hands and make sure they're not associated.
They fired him on the spot. And when he was 100, let's be clear about this, folks. When he was 100% exonerated and found entirely guiltless,
never gave the job
did
back.
They say,
and it's
did
because
they say, why? Why wouldn't they say, "Welcome back, Neil"? You're one
tarnished
of the
brand. No, tarnished brand. Simple as.
Yeah, well, Elizabeth Green's saying this quite rightly. When were the BBC impartial ever? Never.
Oh.
The Steve Allen thing, I don't know, Leslie.
Look,
I don't know.
To be honest with you, Steve Allen was close to retiring anyway, so don't read too much into it.
And by the way, Pat sounds absolutely fine. He was bubbly and charming as ever, as was Monica. Karen Shortland says, "Hi, Karen. I totally agree with you, Russ and Phil. Freedom of speech allows us to voice our opinions. We don't all agree on everything. Of course we don't. So there will always be people who disagree with what a person says. What I did with Sandy War, and I will call her out on it and just mention this as an example. And we just read this. What would you like to read this, Philip?
Lovely Demisa says, whilst I don't feel what Pat said was offensive, I found it funny, a joke. I want to know, with regards to the workplace, what happened to 1, a verbal warning, 2, a written warning, 3, a final warning. One thing that occurs to me is the woman concerned managed to up her own publicity." Agree, complete.
And Leslie,
absolutely.
Furthermore than that, this was a private do. This was an award ceremony or something, right? So she could have shut the hell up about it. And he could have apologized. That could have been it. Now it's in the public domain. This woman, to my understanding, is complaining.
Taken over his show.
Yeah, that's right. Whoop, whoop, fun house. Well, no fun house should be her show.
Yeah,
absolutely zero
lack of
bloody
fun
all
house.
fun. Sod all fun house. No, it would be that she's now upset. Oh, social media don't like me. No, they don't. No,
No
they
kidding.
Don't. They like Pat. They don't like you.
You've just
Get
dashed
over
a
it. There you
national
go.
treasure.
Oh, there we are. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we go from trials and tribulations to a brain the size of Jupiter, with glamour on the scale of Zsa Zsa Gabor meeting Eva Green, meeting
dead?
Princess Grace of Monaco before the car crash. Ladies and gentlemen, Chantal Ricard's OBE.
Oh, bravo.
Oh my God, you are ridiculous human beings, the pair of you.
Well, I know that, obviously.
Well, now what?
What have we done now? Yeah, I didn't like that. It was a bit rude.
He mentioned Zsa Zsa Gabor, not me.
We love to be. No doubt about it, can't do without it. We love to be.
Chantal, if I may be allowed to say it, and I hope this doesn't constitute as incompetence in this day and age, and impertinence as well, but I would suggest that your attire today is very country chic. It looks very smart.
Field and what is it? Field and Stream. It's Field and Stream.
Okay, it's Wandsworth chic today.
Oh, it's Wandsworth.
Is it? Oh, right.
Get that.
Yeah, exactly. It's Wandsworth chic and being in a very cold house. So I'm trying to.
Oh, I
keep warm.
see.
Is your
The heating's still not working.
It's not still not working.
Intermittently.
Well, Leslie's not wrong. I mean, look at this. A rose between two thorns. You know.
Correct.
And you know what? I'd love a Pat Sharp t-shirt. Whoop whoop. Right. Okay, there we go.
And I've worked with Pat Sharp as well, and I thought he was a terribly nice bloke. I don't know him very
He's
well.
wonderful. He really is a very nice guy.
He's exactly. He's just a
what
lovely
you see
guy.
is what you get.
And he never.
And Chantal, you know as well as we do, that's not always the case with everyone, is it?
You think? Oh man, I wish we could do a book and just call it Monsters. We can't, of course, but it would just be great to say you think so and so's lovely and you love them on your TV on the screen. This is what they're really like. They're terrible. They go like this.
If I'd told all my stories over the years, I'd be a very, very rich woman.
Well, the one you told me the other day. Jeez, I'm still reeling from it, which I cannot talk about.
God, right. Let's not mention it on air.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just saying the fact is, even I, as cynical as I am, and then you say something like
cynical, you?
A cynic is what a realist calls a romantic. No, cynic is what a romantic calls a realist. I'm not a romantic. So anyway, Chantal, what have come across your purview?
Well, I was very pleased to hear that you'd been watching Chris Rock. Actually, I hadn't put it in my list of things to talk about, but I'm delighted that you watched it because actually I really enjoyed it too.
It's hilarious.
I mean, it's perilous and naughty, and the quotient of F words is really high. And if you can do it with a lot of bad language, it's actually very funny comedy.
Yeah.
See, I really struggle with that. I just don't see a point in putting foul language in the name of comedy.
But Phil, it's how they speak. It's used. Help me here, Chantal, or disagree, obviously. But it's used as seriously, it's used as punctuation. That's how they speak.
Yes, but it was never necessary before. So why is it necessary now?
Well,
how it is. It's how.
Can you imagine? Could you just imagine?
The same as
you've
Dave
always
Chappelle.
said. Yeah, but you've always said that one of your comedy heroes was Bob Monkhouse, right?
Totally so. Totally.
Absolutely. And same with me. Could
Never
you
swore.
just
No,
imagine
never swore.
the late, great Bob Monkhouse ever so much as using one expletive in his stand-up? Did me a favor.
Never did.
He was just
Never
brilliant.
did.
He didn't
No,
need
he
it.
never didn't need it. But it's different style. It's a different style.
strokes for different folks.
Different strokes for different folk. And this is coming in from Ramsey. The Chris Rock special was very good. Such a clever comedian. My kids love this show. Everybody hates Chris. Yeah, that was because everybody loves Raymond, which was marginally fine. It was all right. It was okay. It wasn't fantastic. The mother was great in that. Bob had the odd expletive, says Sen. That's true, but not like Chris. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Somebody on my Facebook, because I raved about it, and I said, he's just saying what we're not allowed to say. We can't say that. We're three white folks. Let's be honest. You can't say it. He can say it. He has the credentials. It's within his purview to do so. It's not within ours anymore. And that's fair enough. And I accept that totally. But somebody said, I gave up after 20 minutes because he repeats everything. Well, that's the sort of gospel style of delivery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because he sets it up, then he sets it up again. And I got it because he's making really sure that the audience has the full attention. So when he drops, boom, a punchline, it really lands.
Yeah. I mean, he's not a quick fire comedian in that way. So many comedians are they're quick one-liners and there's a laugh, a laugh, a laugh, a laugh. But actually he's much more relaxed than that and sort of slowly works up to it and just expands the joke as he goes along. It's just a different delivery, really. Completely. But I can see that if you're impatient and then you want, a sort of boom every 20 seconds, you're not going to get that with Chris Rock.
Not in or Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is even more sort of languid in his style.
Exactly.
And Chris Rock is full on. But I have to say, you're sitting there waiting for the Will Smith. You're waiting for the Will Smith. You're up to about 52. You're into about 52 minutes of the show. You're thinking, well, he's teased it twice.
Of course,
teases it twice with other people. With Kanye and I can't remember who else. And you wait, and when it comes, whoa. He's waited he's waited a year for that, and boy, was that a year well spent.
Indeed.
Enough from me. So sorry.
And it's the Oscars on Sunday night, of course. So don't forget to stay up if you're actually even vaguely interested in the Oscars.
Who's hosting?
It is. Oh my God, I'm being completely.
Oh, it's Sam Smith.
No, it's not Sam Smith.
It's Sam Smith and Gemma Collins.
It's not.
Jimmy Kimmel. It's Jimmy Kimmel. It's Jimmy Kimmel who's
Jimmy Kimmel used to be great, and he's gone so woke now. I can't.
Oh, okay, because I haven't watched him
woke. He's gone really woke on it.
Okay.
Although he's clever. I mean, he's very good.
Yeah, he's
very professional. He's very slick.
Yeah. Late night talk show host for those that don't know Kimmel.
Yeah. And
as opposed to Kimmel Fix It.
And the
You're welcome.
Anyway, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to be staying up to watch the Oscars or not because it is very, very, very late.
What's going to win? What's your guesses? It'll be some ghastly film.
Well, I spoke to friends in LA yesterday, and currently everybody is talking about Everything Everywhere.
Yeah, love that.
And Michelle Yeoh.
20 minutes too long, but it was great. Michelle Yeoh was fantastic.
I think she might get Best Actress.
She was loved her.
And Best Film, I think, will be Banshees of Inisherin. I don't think it'll be The Fabelmans. That was talked about at the beginning of the award season. Everybody said it was going to be The Fabelmans, and now that chat has sort of subsided.
It was okay. It was okay.
Yeah. I think you and I saw it together, didn't we? We did.
Hurtful. It's a little hurtful. I remember everything we do together because it's like, oh my God, I'm with Chantal. Did we see it together? I can't remember. It's Russ.
The problem is, you see, the novelty wears off after a while, Russell.
Yeah, after 15 minutes, it wears off. The Fabelmans was perfectly nice, but it wasn't great. It was, we've seen it 1,000 times before. It was all right. Maybe they give it to the film about the Jaguars in the Peruvian jungle.
That was our strangest night out.
For those of you who don't know the story,
I feel like you had to be there.
No, Chantal sends me an invite. Do you want to fancy this? A woman is kidnapped in the Middle East desert, and she's got to stop a terrorist attack, and she's only got the time. Can she follow the clues? I love thrillers. I'm in. So we rush to the cinema, sit down, the lights go down. This is great. And all I can see is a documentary about freaking ocelots in the Peruvian jungle. So I turned to Chantal in my usual stage whisper, as this is the BAFTA script. I said, "Where's the kidnapping then? Where's the?"
It could have been worse. You could have turned to her and said, "What is this?"
We were totally. It was very good. We couldn't leave because then the cast came on.
I know exactly. We were stuck.
What, to confront you? After scaring off their audience.
It was so funny.
Ramsey says, I loved Banshees. You know that Michelle Yeoh is married to Michael Schumacher's former team manager at Ferrari.
God.
And the guy that ran Formula One for a few years.
Wow.
Strange, but strong coupling.
Wow. How about that?
God.
It's a little bit like David Cameron and Nick Clegg, really. Strange, but strong coupling, apparently.
Michelle Yeoh's fantastic, and she probably deserves. It's one of those things that she's got such a fantastic body of work, and you think, yeah, it's about time she was really I mean, people who like films love her, and apparently she's charming. Colin was saying he had to look after her for a while. Colin Vase, so he had to look after her. Said she was absolutely delightful. He had to look after her in LA. She was really, really nice. So there we go. There we go. Right, okie dokes.
Well, I'm going to give you a few things to watch. There's sort of very different things out there this week. A lot of stuff that seems to be being sort of offloaded by various different platforms. And anyway, the first thing I found, something I didn't think I'd enjoy, but certainly it was eye-opening. And it was a 1-hour BBC documentary that just sort of came across my purview last week. And it's called The Mormons Are Coming. Not particularly interested in Mormons. I don't know why they're coming, and it's a pretty intriguing title. And then why
are you laughing, Phil Dave?
This
is a woman with an OBE.
I'm not particularly interested in Mormons, but
it's not really on my list of greatest things that I'm passionate about.
I can't pretend it's on mine either. I think that so they made a religion, ironically, of going around insulting other religions. I think it's hilarious.
Well, they got a good musical out of it. Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. So, and then the opening scene is from Chorley in Lancashire, and you're going, where is this documentary taking me? Why have we suddenly cut from, the opening titles to Chorley in Lancashire? Which, the only interesting thing about Chorley is the sort of road sign off the M6. You go,
that says thank you for visiting Chorley.
Exactly. But
it's got one sign. It says you're now entering, you're now leaving Chorley.
Exactly.
on one notice.
It's very small, except for, and not really very well known at all, stuck between sort of Bolton and Preston or something.
But God, I mean, to be honest with you, if you were stuck between Bolton and Preston, you wouldn't be very flattering.
If you've never been to Preston.
Good Lord.
But seriously, it is the centre, the European centre of Mormonism. And 800 young Mormons every year go there to be trained to be missionaries. And this is the first time ever on this BBC documentary that they've let cameras in. It is absolutely astonishing. There are parts of the Mormon religion that I sort of can't quite cope with, because women are definitely lesser human beings, which it slightly winds me up, let's face it. I
think anyone with a level head, Chantal, gets wound up at the prospects of that. But anyway.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. So a lot of,
No, I'm agreeing. I'm serious. Of course I'm agreeing. They dug up a golden... Am I going mad? Forgive me, and I'm not being rude. If you're a Mormon, please, I'm not being disrespectful. It's just not something that is of huge interest to me. They dug up a golden book. It's based on a golden... I'm serious. It's based on a golden book that somebody found buried. And this golden book, made of gold, is the entire basis of the Mormon religion.
It is. It's a very modern religion, actually.
And people say Scientology is weird.
Yeah. Well, it's only about 150 years old. Utah, which is the center of the
Salt Lake City, isn't it? Salt Lake City.
Yeah. But Utah has, I think, 65% of the people who live in Utah are in fact Mormons.
Bet you can't get a bagel there.
Lord.
Wander around. You got any salt beef? No. Yes. Got a golden book. I don't want a golden book. I want a salt beef sandwich. Got one? No. I'm moving.
No, there are lots of things about the Mormon religion that are taxing. No sex before marriage, and no sexual practices that if you were a teenage boy you might want to indulge in, but that is absolutely forbidden ever.
Which is the real irony, given that most Mormons are actually, never mind. But
their hearing is very good, and they've got perfect eyesight, which proves it works. Ramsey says the Mormon UK HQ is just down the A22 in New Chapel. Is it? Okay. How do you know that, Ramsey knows everything. I've never known anybody so bright in my life. Knows everything, says Ramsey. Anyway.
Well, listen, you've got to watch it because it's eye-opening. And I learned so much. And I love learning things from documentaries. And this was 55 minutes of erudition.
Did you come away feeling any, serious question, any warmer towards the Mormons, or did you just think, I still don't get it?
No, not really. It didn't make me understand it any better. And yeah, I didn't feel warmer towards it because a lot of their beliefs and their tenets are very old-fashioned and they don't feel appropriate for modern times. But these missionaries are extraordinary. These young people are just taken in. They are trained for 2 years before they are sent out on their mission around the world. It's extraordinary. And this documentary is very well put together. They choose 3 or 4 different people to highlight in this doc. And it's really well done. It's worth watching. It's only 1 hour. If you've got nothing better to do, it's on the BBC iPlayer and it's called The Mormons Are Coming.
Can I just double check? What age were we all when we realised that there was a difference between Mormons and Moomans? Because I feel like that I discovered this quite late in life.
Philip.
What? No, but it's true. I mean, for a long time, I sort of heard the same words, and it took me a while to realise.
Oh dear, dear, dear. Anyway, well, I think the Moomins are a lot more benign than the Mormons, probably.
Well, quite. And to be fair, I'm something similar. I'm a moron, so.
The morons are coming with an HQ somewhere in Hertfordshire.
Absolutely. We meet every 3rd Tuesday of February. Oh, go do the maths. Anyway.
In the Diet Coke aisle of Costco.
No, that's where you'll find Rishi Sunak.
Oh, why's that?
Oh, no, actually, no, it was Coca-Cola. Don't you remember? There was a picture of him, not this week, last week, where he's pictured in front of this massive stack of Coca-Cola cans. And of course, really? it spurred all the jokes on people saying, "Oh, the Prime Minister's got a Coke addiction."
Ooh.
So, but he genuinely was pictured in front of a load of Coca-Cola cans. That's not a joke. It's just, of course, people are writing the headlines accordingly.
Well, it writes itself, doesn't it? Okie dokes.
Okay.
I can't find any decent. An interesting thing, because as we've discussed and you've explained beautifully, the huge desire for endless content on both Amazon Prime and on all the streaming services. Nothing good, really. Like trying to find a decent film. Wow.
So, basic question, Chantal. What's on the box?
Well, indeed. Well, films, I don't think I've got any film recommendations this week because I think, Russ, you and I saw a film recently. I think we talked about it last week or the week before that was completely terrible. So let's avoid talking about that because we don't want to leave people with...
what did we see that was terrible? What did we see that was terrible?
It was the...
1930s.
It was in the jungle by the sound of it.
No, that wasn't terrible. It just I was in the wrong place. What the one about
Black
the
Adam.
19...
What, you mean they're in the
Black
forest?
Adam. Awful.
I
mean, just... oh, my God.
Oh.
Jesus. Boy, was that bad.
And I do love Gerard Butler, but Gerard Butler's new movie is also not particularly brilliant. But
anyway, they're never
any
good anymore, are they? They're always so blooming... I'd rather watch a Jason Statham. It doesn't have any pretense. It's just me being hard and looking hard and kicking the crap out of people. That's what he does. Although, I have to say, I watched an old Jason Statham. If you like those sort of action films, I took a chance. It was War with Jet Li, who I always like, and Jason Statham. And it was really hugely entertaining. It was complete nonsense, of course, but looked great. Fight scenes were great. If you like those sort of high action, high energy, gangster, kung fu, martial art movies, it was great. Terrific.
Yeah. Well, some of them just deliver. If you want a big, greasy, Big Mac, they just deliver.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. There we go, says Kimmy. I watched the Wimbledon Poisoner on Talking Pictures. I love Talking Pictures. And Elizabeth says, I love all things Indian, in which case, a film that I loved, it was mad. You have to go with it. It's just called RRR, the letter R 3 times. You know it. It was number 1 in 21 countries. It's very long. It's huge. And you go from scenes of utter brutality and suddenly there's a huge dance number. It makes no sense and it's fabulous. It looks incredible. RRR. huge epic, wonderful film. Loved it.
If it had been there in the list for the BAFTAs, I would have voted for it because I thought it was absolutely tremendous.
Wasn't it great?
I mean,
it was raving bonkers, but a cast of 800 million people. It was just fantastic. Make no sense.
Most expensive Indian movie ever made.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But well worth it.
Yeah, it was
Absolutely
absolutely terrific fun. Terrific fun. Terrific. And the end just goes mad. I mean, just like...
No, it's really good.
Here we go. Well, I think the answer... Well, you answer this. I asked, why are so many Indian films on Netflix? Because, Chantal?
A lot of people watch
they love
Netflix
them. It's huge. It's the biggest producer of Indian film industry. It's the biggest in the world. Am I right? I think it produces the most, or am I wrong?
Biggest in the world. Well, I'm not sure how you would measure that. I think in terms of money, it's got to be America. But I could be wrong about that.
In terms of output, number of movies is probably India, and certainly has the biggest audience
in terms of numbers.
Yeah,
it might be, but not in terms of money. I don't think. I'd be surprised if I'm sure the American box office is bigger. I'm sure it is. I mean, if you think the movie we were just talking about, RRR, cost 70 million, I think, whereas something like, a Top Gun is 250 or 300 million.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of very, very big American movies. So I think box office wise, in terms of takings, I'm almost sure it will be America. But I'll double check. It's a good question.
And also the stars in India who we don't know because we're ignorant about it. Well, I am, sorry, speaking for myself. In India and in that area of the world, they are deified. I mean, these are not just like, I quite like The Rock, I quite like Dwayne Johnson. It's like he could walk on water as far as they're concerned.
Yeah, Jackie Fernandez, who is an actress who's a contact of mine from LA, very, very nice woman who most people will never have heard of. I think has got something like 35 million followers on Instagram. And that just gives you an idea of, how big these stars are in their own communities.
Jeez. Oh, here we go. Ramsey would know. By the way, Elizabeth, that's it. Triple R is that it. Triple H is if you like wrestling. Indian cinema is the largest national film industry in terms of the number of films produced. Yes, that's what I was guessing. 2,446 feature films produced annually as of 2019. Wow.
That is astonishing. Okay.
That is
I didn't know that. I've learned something.
That is a massive amount of movies.
Yeah.
God,
it is. Anyway. Big population, and they're great moviegoers. They love the movies.
They love the films, and they've got cinemas, and obviously in the cities and everything. But out in the rural areas, my understanding is because it's always usually it's not monsoon season. It's nice and warm. You can sit outside, and they put up a big sheet and have big just outside cinemas. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Indeed.
And Ramsey says this. I have no idea. I think it probably being serious. Happy to work for BAFTA in Indian if you need, says Ramsey, because he's a very high flyer. He always pretends he's not. He's a very high flyer, is Mr. Ramsey.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah. Phil and I keep our light under a bushel because we've got nothing else. We just got a bushel.
Oh,
that's it, really.
But then again, one must never boast about the size of one's bushel.
Sen, no, you don't, mate. No, you don't. Right, carrying on.
I'm going to send you down the interesting, intelligent route again. I think a sort of edifying another documentary series, but a short one. It's only a 3-parter, and it's a documentary that's sort of built like a thriller. You just want to know what happens next, even though it's based on a real life story back from the 1980s. 1984, the Rainbow Warrior, which was the ship of Greenpeace, was bombed in Auckland Harbour. And actually, it's so much more complicated than just somebody wanting to get rid of Greenpeace. This is a really extensive story that goes back to the 1950s, goes back to America testing nuclear weapons in the Marshall Islands in the Pacific. And they tested nuclear weapons. They pretty much knew what they were doing. One of these weapons that they exploded at 2.5 times.
And do you know why? It was Castle Bravo. I'm a fanatic about these things.
You know about it?
I'm fanatical about these things. Castle Bravo.
You must watch this documentary.
Oh, okay. Castle Bravo, very, very briefly, was one of the hydrogen bomb tests, not an atomic test. It was the hydrogen bomb test.
You're right. It was,
they got the formula wrong. And they got the formula. It was like basic chemistry. And if you get one of the letters and one of the numbers, it's a completely different composition. They were expecting a yield of X megaton.
Yeah.
They got virtually double that. So much so, so much so that all the people in the control center, which was meant to be way out of the way, the heat was so intense, they all thought they were going to die. And eventually they put, this is how out of control it got. They had to put blankets and anything they could find over their heads because they thought they were actually going to. It was an absolute disaster. And the radiation, because they got the wind wrong, the wind then blew out onto the ocean, went over a Japanese fishing boat. The Japanese government sued. It was the most god-awful mess because they didn't know. So I would counteract with they kind of didn't know what they were doing if you could get it that wrong. Castle Bravo was the name of the explosion. Horrible.
So this story is this 3-parter on the BBC is called Murder in the Pacific, and it's not just about.
I feel like we don't need to watch it now. I'm not going to lie, but
no, no, because that's the backstory. The main story is about the bombing of the Rainbow Warrior in Auckland Harbour, where one of the photographer on board dies. And of course, it's really a story about who done it and why did they do it. But the start of the story is about the fact that the boat had just arrived from the Marshall Islands, where they had 30 years after the bomb that you're talking about, Russ, 30 years afterwards, they tried to evacuate these people from those islands because all of them for 30 years had been growing up with terrible cancer-related issues directly as a result of
from the fallout
of the hydrogen bomb. And nobody, the American government, had not looked after this community at all. And along comes the Rainbow Warrior 30 years later and says, look, we've got to get you off that island. It's still polluted. We're going to take you to another island. So they take the 100 people, put them on another island, and then potter off to Auckland to go and create some merry hell elsewhere and do good things, hopefully to make the world a better place. But clearly they've overstepped the mark, and clearly governments don't like what the Rainbow Warrior is up to and Greenpeace is up to. And suddenly there they all are, fast asleep on the boat at night, and boom. So
and here's what we can take away from this, Chantal, is the world is a beautiful place.
Well, let's hope so. But it's built like a thriller, this story. So if you really like a great yarn and real life and consequence, this is something to watch. 3 parts on the BBC called Murder in Paradise. I can't recommend it.
That's a clever title.
Yeah.
Murder in Paradise.
We have about a minute to go. So any quick suggestions for us?
Oh, if you want something light and fun and frothy, watch The Piano on Channel 4, which is about street pianists. Claudia Winkleman presents it. Street pianists come along and play.
She's not quite busy.
Don't know. Yeah, what they don't know is they're going to be invited to the Royal Festival Hall to play there.
I'm surprised they don't call it sort of the London Fringe Festival, really.
Can I just check? Claudia.
Welcome. Can I just say as well, there's a very quick suggestion from me as well. Normally, I wouldn't be so audacious as to plug the station I work for, but I'm going to do it anyway. If you were to tune in on Sunday, you might want to set your recorders for this one. Sunday evening into Monday morning at midnight, there is a small show called Woke That Was. You may recognize one of the panelists. I'm just saying.
And is it live, Phil? And if so, talk
it
about
must most certainly not be live. Is called That Was the Woke That Was. It's already been recorded. In a nutshell, it looks back at the week's news and it decides what is pure wokery and what is pure jokery.
Love it,
basically. So it's kind of like sort of Talk TV's version of How I Got News for You and then some. So there you go.
Sounds great.
Nice. Well,
marvelous stuff. So that's Woke That Was, Sunday night, midnight. Thank you very much.
Shut up. Now, the most important thing, Chantal, is we hope that the boiler and your heating issues are resolved promptly.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you'll be sitting there in a cagoule and a tent and a primer's stove with some Kendall mint cake.
Chantal, as ever, you're a marvel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's such a treat seeing Chantal. Always cheers me up. You?
I know.
Not so much. Phil, thank you so much. Well done on getting promoted and doing your own shows and all. I love it. Seriously.
It's not necessarily me doing my own show, but it
is, as far as I'm concerned. Everybody else is a plus one. Everyone's a plus one. I'll be back Monday. Till then. Okay.